Well, thank you, Councillor Mel Spedding, for allowing us to come and talk to you and spare some of your time to answer some of the questions. So, as you know, we've been asking our listeners and followers to text in or to Facebook us or send us an email and ask a question they'd like to pose to the council. So we've got some responses and you're kindly arranged to answer those.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Stephen, always a pleasure.
Brilliant. Well, we'll start with question number 1 that came from Debbie on Facebook. And Debbie asked us, what are we actually paying for? The roads are a disgrace. You've started charging extra for brown bin emptying. We can't take our rubbish out to the tip without the 3rd degree.
Yeah, that's not an untypical question and, expected from people who actually pay their council tax. Council tax only raises something like 13% of the actual council budget. So in real terms, it's around about £85 million on a year's annual budget. The rest of the council's budget is made up from grants from central government and other sources. Fundamentally, council tax covers really those services that the council provide. Obviously, roads is another issue. Yeah, we're aware of the state of some of the roads, and clearly we pressure government for extra and additional funding, simply because it's their role to give us the money to do that job. If they don't give us the money, we can't do it. Unsurprising that brown bin is a discretionary service. It's a service we introduced free of charge. Unfortunately, because the government has decided to take away the funding and not give us any more money, we're unable to carry that process on.
Andrew got in touch with us via Twitter and he says, as the council tax is going up by 3.99%, what extra service stroke benefits are we going to get for that money?
Well, overall, there's a 4% rise, but that's made up of 2% of government levy for adult social care. The other 2% is what we're raising in council tax. Now, between them, that'll raise about 3.2 million. Unfortunately, that doesn't really meet the full total because the government have removed more than that from our budget. So we have to then try and accommodate our principles and values, which are to look after those people who are most vulnerable in the city.
A question that came in to us via emails from Carol. Her question is, you propose to review lollipop crossings to save money and plan to withdraw all council funding. You say the council will ask volunteers, schools or businesses to fund them. What happens if none of them come forward to fund certain crossings? Will they disappear?
This is a difficult one. Clearly, as a local authority, we have to review all the services that we provide because we are a public service. We're not a business. Over the recent years, government changes in school funding has fundamentally given schools their own ability to control their own funding, which means that where you have an academy, they're responsible for the funding and whatever else. So school crossing patrols are additional, an extra, if you want, to what the council is providing. So we'll have to review them services in light of the funding arrangements with schools. But I can assure your listeners that that we will do everything we can to protect the principles and values of this council.
Sandra in Seaburn asked, how much of the budget has been set aside to address children's services that hit the national headlines?
Yeah, I mean, we went through a very difficult time in terms of an Ofsted inspection, and that resultant examination did highlight one or two situations. However, it was definitely not a situation that we couldn't recover from. So what we did, after the inspection, was to identify that we needed to beef up the structure in terms of children's services, children and adults, and paramount in our principles and values. So we put something like 20 million into the budget so that we could get us back to where we need to be, given in mind that we had a really good Ofsted a number of years ago.
Dan from Ashbrook asks, if the new Weir crossing does bring in more jobs and business, like you say it will, does it mean you could see our council tax being reduced with this new investment?
Well, I mean, it's a good question in terms of the efforts we're trying to do to improve sort of retention in the city, and the quality of housing, etc., because the government has sort of dictated in a number of years' time we'll have to be self-sufficient. Now, if we were living in a leafy part of Oxfordshire where the top rate band of council tax is payable by 80% of the people that live there, well, yes, we could do that. But unfortunately, at this moment in time, whilst we're investing in a capital programme which will bring, hopefully, these changes to the city and create a much more balanced environment across the whole of the city for the economic situation, I would expect that in time we can fundamentally be able to reduce council tax, but that's going to be a long, long time away.